Hi everyone, this is Alwi again. Today we are going to discuss about managing database records. So, uh, as you remember, last time I discussed about the evolution of computer technology, I mentioned about the introduction of databases in the organizational transaction as well as organizational operation. So what is database? By definition, it is an organized or structured collection of interrelated data as well as information, which is represented by rows and columns. Each individual uh, column, okay, when it is combined with the other column in one particular rows, it become information. But then the single data over there, it is not it's not information, but remain as a data. When the data is combined together, they tell the whole story. So the information you need within database consists of character and alphabets, letter or digit. And then there is a field, as I mentioned just now, which is a group of characters identifying one element of information, for example, name to be stored in database, whereby records in this manner, as I mentioned earlier, information which comprise of could be considered as record is a collection of field, and then a file as a whole is a collection of records. So what is in the database? We are concerned about three different elements: the content, the context, as well as the structure. So what is content over here? Content refers to the element or individual pieces of data which is combined in the database. Content can be manipulated and viewed or printed out in endless configuration. Okay, this content ultimately or possibly will change over time when there is updating or editing, which is continually updated, deleted, and replaced with new information. So in this case, what happens is that can it become a record? Because record should be and must be remain permanent, remain fixed. Record cannot be changed. However, though, in database environment, we always update the database. We may delete some information and some data. When this is done so, okay, can it become records? So that is why within the database environment, though we have a record consideration by which record must be fixed, record must be unique, record must be contextual, record must be organic, records must be official. This requirement of anything to become information to become a record is also applied in a database environment, but the approach is a bit different. So let me describe how database work. Database work in a very logical structure, which is very logical structure, whereby it is an organized data for storage and processing as a table with rows and column and some kind of reference between table. If you happen to know and understand, whenever we want to build a database, there must be an assignment of unique key to each and every rows. This is what I call as logically structured organized data. This also include presentation structure, in which a visible structure used by individual to input data into database and to access and view data, which later on from that database we can make query and we can have the report. This report could be visible in the form of forms, reports, views, and derived files. So when we manage database record, we must understand that there is a logical structure of data, and this logical structure of data must be based on logical schema. Meaning to say that there must be some ways by which we understand how data is arranged, how data is queried, sorry, how data is becoming an output in the form of report. So whenever it becomes a report, the system must be able to identify that that particular data contained within that particular information is data which is authentic, valid, and reliable. The only way to do that is for system to be able to capture the metadata of those key-in process, of those management process right from the very beginning. Okay, so there are people who consider database is not record, but there are people who view database contain record. Doesn't matter with that, but what our concern is how do we allow database record to be considered as a valid or authentic record. So we have to look into how we manage those things right from the very beginning based on the record management principle, who create it, who update it, when it is being created, how they are stored, how it is named, what is the audit trail, if there is any changes with regard to the database record. So this is supposed to be incorporated in the management of database. What I'm trying to say is that the requirement of the record principle must be incorporated in database design. So mechanism must be in place to control alteration or deletion of data. Business and legal requirement must be embedded in the design of the database. Retention schedule is also assigned to the database record. Next is the output presentation should be retained when there is a need to document that this transaction took place. So it is the database record by itself is something that can be considered as a record, provided that they follow the record management requirement as well as principle. It can be combined in the form of hypermedia. What is hypermedia? Hypermedia is a combination of output based on the database record, which consists of keyword, concept, image, which are linked to related word, phrases, and video or audio, for example. This is a mixture of text, graphics, image, and audio. There are also database records output, which is known as interactive document or smart document, which contain embedded pointers to external sources of information which can be automatically accessed when the document is called up, for example. And there is also a category of database record which later on become the output and is known as multimedia document, in which the integration of two or more media types for a specific purpose, which is multi-sensory, many kinds of image, text, graphic, video, animation, audio, speech, music, and sound effect combine together to become an output of that particular document. And there is also virtual document, in which the document does not exist as physical entity, in database, but is manifested when data or tags in database are called up and joined or joined together. That is how we manage database record. Thank you very much for joining me. Bye bye. See you again then.